Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to My City Talks. This is the official podcast of My City, My Health and the My City, My Health Conference. And today I have, shall I say, royalty.
Oh, my God.
Podcaster of the year, right?
Yeah.
Podcaster of the year, speaker, author,
regular chick.
regular schmegler, yes. But what Marlon call you, auntie?
Oh.
Shout out to Marlon Ewing. That's the homie.
I love Marlon. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. Man, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I am too. I'm so excited. I was already on your podcast, Black and Privilege in America.
Listen, you came and you wrecked me. I'm still thinking about that conversation and trying to get my life together as a result of your influence. So thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I have some positive influence. And thank you, because every time I talk to you, Abena, it always feels, you're always very encouraging. You have this tone to your voice that is very like, okay, one, I need to listen. If I don't listen, am I going to get in trouble?
Really? I'm auntie for real.
You're auntie for real.
Oh my gosh. I thank you for that. I feel a deep sense of gratitude.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I say that with all, like,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so cool. And like I told you before, I'm always learning from how you speak and everything. So it's always a pleasure to be able to chop it up with you. And I'm super excited that you are the moderator for our Civic Engagement Panel this year at My City, My Health. Can you kind of tell me a little bit of why you said yes and why this is important to you? Because some people might say, hey, this is obviously more than a public healthcare conference or event. But why would you want to be a part of that when it is kind of heavy leaning towards that way?
I feel very strongly about us as a community utilizing our collective power to impact change, to affect change. And what better way to do that than to speak as one voice?
Mm-hmm.
And, I can think of 17,000 different ways that we don't agree.
Right.
We don't agree on a plethora of ideas, but I guarantee you, we all agree that we want our children to be healthy, that we don't want anything bad happening to our neighbors, mostly, that kind of thing. We agree on what matters. And so how can we use this collective power to impact our cities, the way our institutions show up for us, and so that we can increase the possibility of health and longer life and sustaining how we live and move. Like, I feel very strongly about that. And so when the opportunity came to work with you and your team, My City, My Health, come on. This is my city. That's the one thing people who know me understand is that, yes, people might have, from the outside looking in, they may have their opinions about Iowa and it being the middle of the country and the city of Des Moines or whatever it may be, all the stereotypes. But the one thing anyone who knows me will tell you is that I love my city. So the fact of us being able to think through, take one day a year as Black folks, and come together and think through what the issues are and orient ourselves to solutions. Oh yeah, I'm in. It's a no-brainer. Yeah,
and you born bred in Des Moines. I remember you talking about. I learned so much from when you came to speak at the African American Leadership Academy about all of the just rich culture that Des Moines did have. And still has. I'm sure there's pockets of things everywhere, but it just wasn't the same. So, like, you could definitely tell you're coming from a real place.
I'm coming from, and I try to allow this to emanate through my work. Is I am, like I said, regular degular. Is that what you said? I don't know what you said. But
regular schmegler.
Yeah, that part. But I live here. I work here. I don't live outside of Des Moines. I live in Des Moines proper. I'm rooted. This is where I've raised my children. This is where I met my husband, and we planted ourselves here. And so there is a connection to the place. And I mean that in the geographical sense and in the cultural sense. I'm connected to the place. And so in the talk I gave to the Leadership Academy that you alluded to, I'm speaking from that historical understanding, that enrichment that comes with knowing that we didn't just get here yesterday.
Right.
There have been generations of Black people in Des Moines. And how do we take that information and build on it and build a healthy existence here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's possible. It is possible, but it's ongoing. It's an ongoing pursuit.
Yeah, and so I want to take that hysterical piece, what you just said, and I want to bring it to what the question everybody asks within some of the spaces that I am. What is civic engagement? What does that mean for people of color or Black people? What does that mean now in 2025 where look, when I clock out, I'm not trying to do anything, but we know it's important though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's important. And the $1 million question is, okay, what is that? What did it look like? Well, I want to know from you, what did it look like then from your perspective, and what can that look like now in 2025?
So I think back to my childhood and what civic engagement meant to me then in my little girl understanding of what it was. My parents were voters. They they participated in every election. They took us with them to go and vote. So we were very familiar with our public libraries, with our churches, because that's where the polling places were. So as a child growing up and seeing that was just it became a part of my my DNA. When it's time to vote for something, then you participate. That's the way you exercised that right, that liberty. And so in my mind, that is the beginning, is voting, but that's not all. So it's finding those ways to intertwine yourself in community and be spoken for, be a witness, to find a way to integrate your narrative into the conversation so that the struggles or the issues have you as a reference point so that solutions can be built around that. Voting is one way, but showing up at meetings and attending these meetings is another way. Serving on boards and commissions is another way. There are so many ways to be involved. It's literally putting your body on the line as far as attendance. We have to be visible. And I think the biggest part of being engaged in a civic way is visibility, making sure that you are there. Somebody that looks like you, thinks like you, because, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. But, be there, show up in whatever way that means to you. And I think over time, what civic engagement means has changed because our times are changed. At one point in our history, as we all know, civil rights movement, civic engagement meant confronting water hoses. It meant confronting police dogs. I mean, to a certain degree, it still does. Actually,
Right.
The more things change, the more they stay the
more
same.
they stay the same.
So determining what that means for you, your community, for your family, and identifying ways that you can fit yourself into that narrative and being part of it, whether it's voting. I'm sure it is voting. Is it a conversation? Is it a meeting? Is it a membership? Is it some type of activity? What that activity
Right.
is.
Right. It kind of leads me to this story that I've told a few times. I just learned about this woman too, which is so funny. And I want to get to this because it kind of touches on what I want to talk about with the TEDx. Georgia. Her name was Georgia. Georgia and the Women from Nowhere. Her last name is passing me. But her and these women funded the bus boycotts, right? And nobody really knows who she is, but they baked pies, they sold pies, they did all these things. And that is, to me, that is civic engagement. You don't got to be at the front,
right?
But you could sell a pound cake and support, something that is a huge historic event in American history.
Isn't that incredible to learn something like that? That someone who is putting in the work behind the scenes, fundraising is a huge part of civic engagement because it is not only, confronting the institutions and the systems, but it's how are we building community among ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one way to do that is fundraising to support local effort. There are a ton of nonprofit organizations here in town, and even some for-profit organizations who are Black led that are doing incredible work. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what are some creative ways that we can find to support them? Fundraising. I remember bake sales when I was a kid. There was a Kmart out on Hubble Avenue. Kmart, y'all.
Kmart.
Okay. And the little old ladies from churches would get their baked goods and they'd have a table set up and they'd sell Rice Krispie treats for 50 cents. But before you know it, whatever civic organization they were supporting had a new parking lot. They had windows,
Man.
new windows. They were able to support summer programs for youth. So maybe we evolve those tactics, but certainly the people behind the scenes do deserve the acknowledgement and credit for doing the work. For
100%.
Absolutely.
And every penny counts. I feel like when you think of like a bake sale or something now, it's like
I can't bake though. I can't do it. I support it. Am I gonna do it? No.
But we all have our strength.
But yeah.
You know, I want to buy some. Like, I want to talk about this amazing, this your TEDx Iowa Nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
There were a few things that I took from it. There was a part. I'm gonna try to remember this without looking at my notes. But there was a part where you're talking about the bike lane and how your daughter was kind of swerved into it and swerved out of it to miss a pothole and things like that. But I feel like those individuals in under-resourced communities are in that bike lane, and no one's paying attention who's in that bike lane, and understanding there are potholes in other areas, but like this is all we have, and we're at the mercy of if this car is going to pay attention. At the mercy of this 3-ton vehicle, because they're going to come into our lane to save themselves.
Exactly. And this is the point. I mean, I think you got it. And the individuals in the bike lane are only able to participate on the road if they have access to a bike. Some people are still at home if they have a home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the backstory behind that analogy is all of it is true. My daughter needed some driving lessons so bad, my youngest daughter. Prior to that, she had bought herself a car before she learned how to drive. She was I was really proud of her. And she was attempting to drive down our driveway and pull out into the street. Well, her phone rang and she got distracted and ran into our house. And she hit the electrical box. The power was destroyed. We had to have the whole house rewired. So yes, she needed driving lessons when I tell you. So we were already dealing with a sense of despair that day in the car.
Tension was high.
And so I'm in there and I'm on her. Look over your shoulder. Do not forget to put your signal light on. You follow that car in front of you because my husband was driving the car in front of us. And so I was really on her. That still small voice, I would say, on her shoulder. Mm-hmm. And she still swerved. She still swerved. So these are some of the things. And no one was in the bike lane, but truly, I think the overarching idea is that people who are marginalized are easily represented by the bike lane. And I chose that subject because in our state, we have RAGBRAI. People take their bikes and do incredible things.
Yeah.
It's a meaningful conversation. So what better way to have a conversation about race, particularly Black, than to use the bike lane? People are listening. You talk about a bike here in Iowa, in Des Moines. We're going to listen.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah.
Through that.
And I love this concept of the Iowa Nice. I'm going to have to look at my note. The bulletproof shared story.
Yeah. The unassailable cultural narrative.
Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. So the idea of really thinking through Iowa Nice um, is that I hadn't experienced it. Not
Mm.
truly. I mean, just recently I experienced an Iowa Nice kind of thing to where just not far from where we're located now for this recording, I was driving, ironically, and I got rear ended. And the car that hit me backed up 2 inches and sped off. They had no license plate. Later, I found out that that same car had hit another car about
Oof.
2 miles down the road after my accident. But what I experienced in the aftermath of that was some people, some passersby, turned around and came back to check on me. They
Oh.
waited until police came and made sure that I was okay. And then and that was a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few weeks ago, I'm filling up, getting some gas, and the gal who's working in the register, she said, "Were you in an accident a few months ago? Because I was one of the people
Huh.
that came and checked on you." So I said, "Gosh, I had my first Iowa Nice experience."
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that concept, and I felt it felt interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting to me. But I think we deserve to be honest. We deserve
Mm-hmm.
honesty. The vast majority of people who exist in those margins don't get that experience. So to blanket statement and say Iowa is nice, I think that's irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that that came across in a way, I don't know what way it came across, and I can't say I really care. I think the point is that the message is let's be honest about where we live and the narratives that we choose to advance.
Yeah, I think what I got from it was that there, when we say Iowa nice, we are not making room for accountability. And like, okay, yeah, there are people that are nice in Iowa, right? And yeah, I give this another example of, my mom would always tell me, what I'm saying, if you go to the grocery store and you look all crazy because you was outside, you smell bad, they gonna say, look at Penny's son,
Yeah, oh yeah.
right? Like,
Don't you embarrass your mom.
don't
Don't
you,
you do it. But
right?
yes, you're right. We become representative. And even more so, we represent ideas and we hope that those ideas are correct. But in my research for that talk, I learned that Iowa nice, the phrase, was borrowed from Minnesota. Minnesota nice was a thing. However, Minnesotans understood that it was sarcastic. They would say it
Mm,
in a way where we're not really that nice. They would say Minnesota nice as in, huh.
mm,
It was a poke. It was a prod. But Iowans adapted it to be true to life. And I'd say that's an awful high standard to live up to. So
mm.
I just think we should reevaluate. And as I said in the talk, we can rescue ourselves from those kinds of narratives that aren't actually bulletproof.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying this is what I strive
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Aspiration.
Aspiration.
And I come also in the tradition of James Baldwin when he said, "I love America so much that I am willing to criticize her. That's how I show my love." So that's how I feel about Iowa. Is that I love Iowa. I wouldn't have stayed here this long if I didn't appreciate the benefit of living here. But because I love Iowa, I'm going to criticize her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And making sure. But what does that look? What does the accountability piece look like, though?
I don't know. I'm still working through that part. I think um, it's it's that civic engagement. I'm going to go back to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
listening. Someone, if you're accountable, that means that you allow other people's feedback and input, and you extract from it what's going to help you improve and grow. So there's got to be this give and take in order for accountability to be real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're seeing that in some ways, and in other ways it's not as good as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, we've got to constantly pursue these things. I don't know if we ever fully arrive. I think the journey itself is the goal to embark upon trying to reach accountability
I love
and then
that.
pass
Yeah,
that on to the next generation.
right. You know, going back to the civic engagement and going back to, you're going to be moderating, in my eyes, a very important conversation.
Man, dang,
Um,
that's good. I'm
well,
so excited.
yeah, well, think as a couple of last week, the big beautiful bill happened. Um, there are a lot of things going on.
I mean, is that really the name of the bill? It's
It's
called the Big Beautiful Bill.
it's like
Ain't
H.
that nothing? Let me listen. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna start. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Corey. Huh? What were you
No,
saying? Big beautiful. Really?
yeah.
Lives are impacted. People are
Mm,
going to lose. As our senator said, we're all going to
well,
die. What? This is
what
craziness.
are we doing? And it's going to impact how millions of people access care. It's going to impact how the future of our future doctors and everything, all of this heaviness. And then November 14th, you're going to be moderating that energy. People in the room are going to be been affected by some of this stuff because of they're not only their job, maybe they may have a family member who's on Medicaid or whatever.
And I think that's what I really want to make sure that I understand and that I carry with me is, yeah, the, as you said, jobs, people working in healthcare, in public health are likely going to be impacted, but we all know somebody who is dealing with, especially, listen, we're Black in Des Moines. We know someone who's dealing with prostate cancer.
Oof.
We
Mm-hmm.
know someone who has high blood pressure. We know someone who's dealing with some cardiovascular stuff.
Yep.
Somebody debating on whether or not Ozempic is actually a good choice or if it's cosmetic. Like, we know this.
Everything.
We know
Yes.
this. So walking in and carrying the understanding that every single person in the room knows someone, if they're not dealing with it themselves, this is a personal conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're talking about it under the overarching idea of public health for our city, it's personal. And so really understanding that, honoring that, and driving, leading up, I don't even want to say leading, like we're having this conversation together. And um, I would like for people to walk away from that panel with an understanding of what they can personally do to impact themselves, their family, their community. If that happens, I'm good. I'm gonna go have a margarita. Is that healthy? I hope it's healthy. One margarita.
Wait, we're having a happy hour at the contrary right afterwards, so you can get
Period.
you
Okay.
can get it
Yes,
there.
we are having a happy hour. No, but
Yeah,
seriously, if that happens, if I'm hoping that that someone, many people, everyone
yeah. Mm-hmm.
has an actionable insight that they could use to make a difference in their life and as a byproduct impact their community.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's the biggest takeaway that I would love, just as someone who's going to be watching. You know what I mean? Is like there's going to be obviously there's going to be a lot of tension in the room, a little bit.
You
My
think
city,
so?
well, a little bit because there was a little bit last year because last year was right after the election.
Oh yeah. So I was there last
Mm-hmm.
year, and I'm gonna tell you something, Corey. This conference is freaking amazing,
Oh,
and
thank
there
you.
was tension in the room, but I don't know. I use tension because you used it, not because it's like actually what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was a greater sense of awareness of how real the topics were.
That's probably a better
That
way of putting
understanding
it.
that
Yep.
we know someone, that it might be us, that was alive in the
Mm-hmm.
room. It was alive in the room. People were on stage thinking about how immigration policy shifts were going to impact the health of their communities. That was alive in the room. And I
Yeah.
suspect it will be alive in November.
Yeah.
I hope it is. We need to keep these things at the forefront so that it drives solutions.
Yeah, because I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there needs to be some of that in the room so people understand the severity of the situation. Like this is not. I hope this isn't just a one and done conversation.
It can't be, and I'm so tired of conversations that are had by people who aren't impacted. Like I care if you can unlock resources for solutions, but if you don't have a stake in it, who are you talking to? So I love My City, My Health because you bring to the fore people who have a stake in it. And we all do, but people who really have a stake, who care, they're in the room together. We're all listening to the same thing. And like any good book, because I like my books, we can all be reading the same book and come away with a different understanding, which is a beautiful thing.
It is. I wanna lead into kind of you brought up you being an author in your books and you doing great things. I want to know the storytelling behind how and this is something that I'm trying to unlock myself from doing the videos that we do, the podcasts, and something I think you do really, really well is telling the story, even through Black and Privileged in America, and even through speaking and things like that, telling the story. And I think as I'm sure you can agree, people learn better when they can understand the story. So how do we tell the story that, one, everybody plays a part, and two, yes, I know you're coming to the conference, you want to be educated or you want to learn something, but it's more than just putting something in your notebook and then going home and feeling good about yourself.
You know what? I just absolutely adore you. I think I say that every time we talk. Because storytelling really, okay, so I'll give an example. I was doing this research on enslavement, and it was heavy, it was hard to swallow, but I needed to do the research because I was working on a project. And what really changed the game for me, I was learning about the ways in which Black folks resisted policy at the time. And I came across, and I was reading a bunch of just blanket narratives, but I came across a story of a woman whose name was Sarah. It made enslavement real because it had a name. It was a person who was dealing with a set of circumstances and just trying to do the best they could. What that taught me, besides, it helped me sort out my project, but it taught me that what reached me was a person, an individual. Slavery wasn't a group of Black people in a field necessarily. It was this one woman named Sarah who was trying to get back to her family. So I think the difference between someone being at a conference and taking notes and then going home and that note is still in their briefcase, and someone who hears a story about a particular situation is that now we become human together. From woman to woman, I understood Sarah. I understood what it was like to be away from my family and want to get back home. I may not have ever picked cotton in my life, but I know what it's like to want my family.
Yo, that's real.
So that is the power of storytelling.
Man.
When you can put a name and a face on it and say, this is prostate cancer. I'm thinking about the fact of Black men in my city being diagnosed late, if at all, having barriers to access to health care, and dying at incredible rates from prostate cancer. I'm thinking about Stephen, my stepdad. A name and a face. I can relate to that.
Right.
A statistic becomes alive when you give it a name and a face.
Right. A living, breathing person that had stressors, who had good times, bad times. It makes it so much more real than just saying prostate cancer kills people.
But Stephen battled. He didn't know. He didn't feel good. He wasn't feeling well. He was tired all the time. He had some aches, some pains that were unusual. He was a preacher, pastored a church on 14th and University. His wife said, "You need to go to the doctor. We're going to pray about it, but you need to go to the doctor." And he went and discovered he had prostate cancer. That is a testimony, not a statistic.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to let that breathe a little bit. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. Before I get you out, first of all, I'm like, we gotta go. But I would love for you to tell people about Black and Privilege in America. You've had this podcast since, I don't even know when, since I've known who Abena was.
Yeah. Can I come around it from the long way?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to come around it from the long way. So I'll get to my podcast, but I do want to shout out some of the other work that I do too.
Yeah.
It all began with Sankofa Literary and Empowerment Group, which is my organization that creates spaces for lifelong learning. And we center the literature and scholarship of Black authors. And so what does that look like? It looks like creative writing classes for emerging writers. It looks like literacy support for emerging readers. It looks like helping organizations understand the power of the people that work inside and empower those organizations, you know. It looks like teaching, a lot of history, a lot of culture, a lot of just celebration of Africana. And then I recently launched a Substack platform.
Yep.
Yeah, called the Imhotep Report. And it's my take on some observations culturally, socially, politically across the Black world. So I don't have borders in this column. So we cover everything from Black Iowa to Brazil to Kenya to the Netherlands and beyond. So whatever we can understand that helps tie us together across the world. And then there is Black and Privileged in America podcast. Come on.
Okay.
So power, love, and money conversations relevant to Black thriving. And that opens us up to endless possibilities of things that we can talk about. So I've been hosting this podcast since 2019 we got started, but we really hit the ground running 2020. So at the very beginning of the pandemic is when, you know, we started grinding, and I began the podcast with a co-host.
That's right. There's a dude that you were doing it with.
Yeah, my good buddy Jay, but he's since moved on to other things, and so I began doing it solo and have been having a blast, an absolute blast. So you were there with me. I appreciated sharing time with you. I've had a plethora of guests. I mean, from across industry, across interest, across identity. So it's just about understanding what kind of power moves make a difference. What does love look like? How does it show up for us? And then money. We got to talk about money. So it's been fun, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm not stopping anytime soon. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. And I'm seeing you on other podcasts. I'm like, okay.
I'm sitting up here with you right now.
Yeah. Abena, thank you so much for being here. For anybody that's listening or watching, and they're like, man, I gotta connect with her. You know, where can they reach you?
I am easy to find and hard to forget.
There you go.
AbenaSankofa.com is my website. That's the best place. And then you can find me across Substack on the Imhotep Report and Abena Sankofa on all social media channels.
Perfect.
Except X. I don't mess with X.
Yeah, we don't. What's that? Right.
Malcolm X is the only X I recognize. So.
Yes. And I'll make sure I have all those links in the description for anybody that wants to reach out to you. Everybody, thank you for listening. If you are in Des Moines, November 14th, and you are not at Curate Des Moines, you're going to be missing out. Go to www.mycity.health, register now. because it is going to be popping. It is just, I know I say this every episode when I'm talking about my city, my health, but it is so true. It's hard to explain. You just have to be there.
Mm.
You just have to be there to understand the feeling that is in that room every year. So I'm excited that you're a part of it this year. Well, you're a part of it. Like, everybody's a part of it. But you're a part of it.
I'm honored, and I'm going to sponsor 2 tickets. So please do what you need to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I will. Again, thank you so much for being here. And everybody, thank you for listening to My City Talks. I'll holler at you next time.